On a warm summer evening in the quiet suburban town of Oakwood Hills, Illinois, a scene unfolded that would forever change the lives of its residents. The hum of crickets filled the air, the sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon, and families were winding down their day, ready for a peaceful night. But in a home on Maple Street, the Gutierrez family had no idea that their world was about to shatter. In a small, colorful bedroom decorated with stuffed animals, 4-year-old Jessica Gutierrez, with her wide brown eyes and infectious laugh, had just been tucked into bed by her mother, Carmen. She was a sweet, energetic child who loved to dance, sing, and tell stories. Her mother kissed her goodnight, tucked the blanket tightly around her, and closed the door behind her. The house settled into silence, and the family went about their routine, unaware that a predator was already in motion, preparing to strike under the cover of darkness. It wasn't until the morning light revealed Jessica's empty bed that the nightmare began. Oakwood Hills was the kind of place where people knew each other's names and waved hello from their front porches. It wasn't the kind of town that made the national news. In fact, before the events that would unfold, Oakwood Hills was a town that most outsiders had never even heard of. Nestled in a peaceful corner of the United States, Oakwood Hills had its fair share of local events, school fundraisers, church picnics, and community barbecues. But nothing could have prepared the residents for the horror they were about to experience. Jessica Gutierrez had always been a child full of life. She had a twin brother, Ethan, with whom she shared an inseparable bond. Their mother, Carmen Gutierrez, a devoted single parent, had worked tirelessly to provide a loving home for them. Carmen and Jessica's father, Marco, had split years ago, but Carmen never let it affect the children. The family had found their rhythm, living quietly in a modest home on Maple Street. But the evening of June 15, 2018, would mark the beginning of an unimaginable ordeal for Carmen and her children. When Carmen entered Jessica's room the following morning, she was greeted by an eerie silence. The bed, which had been neatly tucked in just hours earlier, was empty. The blanket was askew, and Jessica's favorite stuffed bear was lying on the floor. At first, Carmen thought her daughter had gotten up early to play or had wandered to her brother's room. But when she checked Ethan's room, Jessica wasn't there either. Panic set in. Carmen checked every room in the house, even the bathroom, but Jessica was nowhere to be found. Her heart raced as she called out her daughter's name. The house was still. No answer. That's when Carmen's worst fears began to take shape. She immediately called the police. As soon as Oakwood Hills police received the call, a large-scale search was initiated. The small town, which was often lulled into a sense of security, now found itself thrust into a world of fear and suspicion. The authorities arrived swiftly, and local volunteers began combing the streets, searching through the dense woods surrounding the town, and checking with neighbors. Carmen's first instinct was to question those closest to her. Marco, though no longer in the picture, was the first to be contacted. His alibi checked out, and he had no apparent involvement in the disappearance. Neighbors were questioned, and everyone who had seen or heard anything unusual the previous night was interviewed. There were whispers of a white van seen parked near the Gutierrez home late the previous evening, but no one could definitively recall the exact make or model. A few hours after police arrived, they found a disturbing clue. Jessica's bicycle was missing, a potential sign that she had been abducted. But before we dive deeper into this chilling story, let's introduce a few of our main characters. 1. Carmen Gutierrez, the grieving mother, desperate to find her daughter. Her strong-willed nature and emotional resilience would become central to the investigation as it unfolded. 2. Detective Emily Jackson, the seasoned lead investigator. Her calm demeanor and sharp mind would be instrumental in piecing together the puzzle of Jessica's abduction. 3. Marco Gutierrez, Jessica's estranged father, who had no criminal background but became an early person of interest due to the family's past. 4. Ethan Gutierrez, Jessica's twin brother, who had a strong bond with his sister and would prove to be a key witness. As the hours passed, a few critical pieces of the puzzle began to emerge. Detective Jackson and her team received several calls about a white van seen in the area the night Jessica disappeared. The witnesses couldn't provide much detail, but they described a vehicle as unusually quiet for a commercial van. This information led investigators to start reviewing nearby security footage from convenience stores, street cameras, and local businesses. It wasn't until a week into the investigation that a breakthrough came. The police traced the van's license plate to a man named Kenneth McAllister, a local contractor who lived on the outskirts of Oakwood Hills. McAllister was brought in for questioning. At first, McAllister appeared cooperative, but something about his demeanor didn't sit right with Detective Jackson. He was nervous, fidgety, and his responses seemed rehearsed. After hours of questioning, McAllister admitted to having been near the Gutierrez home on the night of Jessica's disappearance, but he claimed he had no involvement in the abduction. With McAllister's story starting to fall apart, the police dug deeper into his background. They discovered that McAllister had a history of criminal behavior. Specifically, he had been involved in a series of petty thefts, but had never been convicted of anything more serious. When forensic experts analyzed McAllister's vehicle, they discovered traces of Jessica's DNA in the back of the van, hidden beneath the carpet lining. This was the break the investigators had been waiting for. McAllister was arrested on suspicion of kidnapping, but as the case progressed, things started to take an unexpected turn. The more McAllister was interrogated, the more inconsistencies arose in his story. While his DNA was found in the van, there were no signs of Jessica's presence anywhere in his home or vehicle, leading many to question whether he had acted alone. Despite the mounting evidence against McAllister, some key questions remained unanswered. Who was McAllister working with? Was he part of a larger group, or had he acted alone? Several witnesses came forward, reporting seeing other people near McAllister's van, but their descriptions didn't match anyone in particular. What happened to Jessica after the van was parked near her home? There was no clear evidence of her being transported to McAllister's house. Investigators struggled to piece together the final moments before Jessica vanished from Oakwood Hills. Was there someone in Jessica's life who knew more than they were letting on? Detective Jackson couldn't help but wonder if someone close to the family was covering up the truth. After months of grueling investigation, McAllister was charged with kidnapping and assault. However, the case didn't end with his conviction. The mystery of what truly happened to Jessica Gutierrez lingered. The authorities believed that McAllister had acted alone, but some in Oakwood Hills still wondered if there was more to the story than met the eye. As McAllister stood trial, his defense team argued that the evidence against him was circumstantial, and without a body, they had no case. The trial was an emotional roller coaster for the Gutierrez family, with Carmen relentlessly fighting for justice for her daughter. In the end, McAllister was convicted of kidnapping and sentenced to 30 years in prison. But Jessica's body was never found. The family's nightmare continued, and Oakwood Hills would never be the same again. As we look back on the chilling case of Jessica Gutierrez, there are still so many questions left unanswered. Was McAllister really acting alone, or is there a deeper conspiracy behind this crime? Let us know your thoughts in the comment below. We'd love to hear your theories. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends. Stay tuned for more true crime stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat.